Hi, welcome to The Watchers. I'm Victoria Burt with Killer Shot Films.
And I'm Kevin Marable with the Black Script.
So good to see you, Kevin.
Yes, it's always great to see you, Victoria. How you doing?
I'm okay. I have to say I feel I'm having an inferiority complex because I can't figure out why my camera is only 780 and you have to be 1080p. All of that. I got a new camera stuff or a new fancy equipment. Anyway, I'm
It's
teasing.
blame technology. It's just technology. That's it.
Every week we have some technological thing. We were going to try out Riverside, but I changed my mind mid setup. So we're back on our StreamYard and I've got all my stuff and you're ready to go. What are we talking about today? I know we're going to talk about Black Phone 2, right?
Yes, the Black Phone 2. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. We both saw it on Saturday.
Yes.
It'll be probably weeks after we've seen it, but we both just saw it this weekend. And all right, so you want to read the? I'm going to read the sort of like what it's about. Okay, so it says 13-year-old Finn killed his abductor and escaped, becoming the sole survivor of the grabber. But true evil transcends death, and the phone is ringing again. I was like, oh.
Yeah, yet again.
It's directed by Scott Derrickson. Ethan Hawke is back as the grabber. Mason Thames is Finn. Madeleine McGraw is his sister, Gwen. Several other people are in it, and we'll get to their names as well. Some great actors, some great acting. Overall, what did you feel like? That was sort of what they say the movie is about. Did you feel like it matched that?
I felt like it matched, and it was a good sequel to the Black Phone. I did not know what to expect coming into this. I know the fans really demanded a Black Phone 2, and I think that's why we ended up receiving a Black Phone 2, which a lot of fans were excited about. I was excited about. My daughter was excited about it. We both seen the Black Phone.
You went with her, right? So I'm gonna ask. Remember to tell me at the end what she thought. Okay. We both went in the afternoon, right? I'll tell you a funny story about the theater. Okay. So I live in Hell's Kitchen, and I usually go to 42nd Street, and I sit in the same sort of area. I'm blind, so to sit in a certain spot, not too far, not too close, and I sit down at the theater. And there are a lot of a trailer comes out that looks really great, but it had a really weird font. Like I couldn't read the font.
Oh, I know which one.
Okay, and so I turned to the person sitting next to me, and I go, "What was the name of that movie?" And she goes, she tells me the name of the movie, and she goes, "One Battle After Another." I was like, "What?" She's like, "I sat next to you in One Battle After Another."
Oh, wow.
I said, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, I was on the other side." She goes, I said, "You were the girl," because we were hooping and hollering. I was like, "You were the girl?" I said, "What's your name?" Her name is Ashley.
Okay.
So,
what's up, Ashley?
Hey,
How you
Ashley.
doing?
I was like, oh my God. It was so random. I literally went at like 1:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday.
Listen, that's probably like the time, the peak time, prime time. Next time we go to the movies, you're gonna meet up with Ashley again. You never know.
I just thought that was in New York City.
Yeah.
The last time she went to the movies was that movie when she went to see the One Battle After Another. And I was like, well, we didn't do a lot of chit-chatting. At the end of the movie, we said goodbye, and it was like, if I see you again, I see you again. Wonderful. But it's such like a New York moment, and especially like in a scary movie. It's nice to have somebody to go, oh my God, talk, because I will occasionally, even though I hate it, like verbalize thoughts in a movie theater.
No, but what are the odds that you two would meet up again, same movie theater, same time, and reconnect? And I'm sure this is not going to be the last time.
But that was IMAX. This was Dolby. It wasn't even the same theater. Like
that's okay.
It's crazy. Ashley, hey girl.
As luck would have.
So, what were your overall thoughts of the movie?
So I will say, in the beginning, the different transitions between, the clear visual and then the grainy visual, I was like, okay, what's happening? What is this? Obviously, I know it's set in the 80s, early 80s, I want to say. But then there's some time jumps as well, and we begin
Yeah.
the film where a young girl is at the phone booth. They're in the middle of Colorado. It looks like they're in the middle of the mountains. It's snowing.
Like a phone booth off the lake.
There's a phone booth in the
I was like,
middle
really?
of
Okay.
nowhere.
Okay. Yeah.
And this young girl walks into the phone booth and she picks up the phone, has a conversation. You don't know who's on the other end
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And all you can hear is what this young girl is saying in response to what the person is saying on the phone. And then they hang up the phone and then they walk out, and that sets the tone for the film.
Yeah.
And you really don't know where it's going after that, because then it goes back to modern day or 1982 or
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
the year is. And then it's back to Mason, who plays Finney Blake.
Yeah.
He's at school, and he seems like he is constantly fighting off people who pick on him, give him trouble, hound him about being abducted when he was younger.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting start to the movie, because
It was.
it was a very, very different location, and it was a very, very different era, obviously. I don't even remember
Right.
if there was a slate, but clearly from the clothes, and that there was, that there was this like Superman phone, by the lake
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so what's happening here? I just went with it. You know what I mean? I don't know what you thought of Black Phone, the first one. I loved that movie. It really,
I liked it.
it really scared me. So I was just really ready to be, played with a little bit. And then when it went to, what year was that set in? Let's see.
I want to say it was the 70s, because for it to be 1982, I believe, when part 2, when Black Phone 2 starts, it had to have been in the 70s when Finney was abducted, because he was much younger.
Okay. Of course, I'm going to be just so frustrated with that. Okay, so here we go.
That's my guess.
It looks like it was 1982. Well, it's a really specific song that dropped during that. Black Phone 2 takes place in 1982, a few years.
Right.
Well, it had to at least be 3 years, because the father had a 3-year sobriety chip, because he said that. So that's how we knew the timeline of that.
Well, he does give that timeline, but I feel like it happened prior to that as well, because
at least I'm saying at least it could be more, because we don't know when he got sober, blah blah blah, right? And they definitely look older. Even though on this site, this is I'm at robertebert.com, says that it's a few years after. What I thought about that first scene with him fighting, right, was that he was just, I immediately got it. He's just angry. He ain't, you can deal with bullies in certain ways, right? Yeah. And the character has now gotten more, like he's like the last movie where he was being picked on and somebody was like, I will beat you up if you mess with my friend. He's become 10 times more responsive to bullies, right? And that extra punch, that extra swing, you can get your point across maybe with one swing. You don't have to pummel. Like he was very. Did that guy look like he was going to do anything to him? No,
not at all. They had to make him out to be, somebody who was overpowering the other.
Yeah, that kid on the ground taking that beating looked a little soft. I don't know if he needed all of that. Is what I'm saying, right?
Right, but he does go on to say that he had to prove a point to let the others know not to mess with him moving forward.
But I ventured to guess that wasn't the first fight.
Oh no!
Right?
Yeah.
Like one little thing, like even the way he was like flexing his hand when he was walking away, and I was like, yeah, if you've ever thrown a punch, I boxed for a little while, it really hurts your hand, right? Yeah. So, and even the sister just like, cut it. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? And, and even the amount of like weed that he smoked, he was just numbing himself with like, to try to like get out of all of that rage.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I really thought I'm always thinking about what's like this movie like about, and
Mhm.
to me, it is an example of how people process different types of trauma. You know what I mean? Like to be like all heady about it. Because the father was processing like the death of his wife, and the little girl is processing her psychic sensitivities, and that her mother died. Everybody's like trying to deal with something, and
Something.
right, and
Yes.
they're using whatever they can. Um, but I really liked that little story before the story started, because it sort of gave us room to breathe. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it sort of like reintroduced that phone ringing with
Yeah.
a little like not in the basement, and everything like that. You know?
The phone is really a character in this
Yes.
film,
Yeah.
and throughout both films, really, the phone acts as its own character.
Yeah, for sure. And
Mhm.
it's much more of it's much more than a conduit, which it was last time, right? Which is just like
Right.
ring pickup, and now it's like there are several movies that do that every time the phone rings. Like I remember in the movie the Fatal Attraction. Do you remember that movie
Uh-huh.
with Fatal Attraction? And
I've seen it, but it's been some
it's
years
been
since I've
some
seen
years,
it.
but I remember when I went to school and I was studying film, and the teacher said when the phone rings in that movie, you're terrified, right?
Mhm.
And it's that's taking something that is very common, often the source of joy in the
Right.
daylight, and the character moves into a new house, and he thinks the girl doesn't have the number, and the phone rings, and you're like, why is the phone ringing? Like they shoot to the phone.
Exactly.
It's the same thing here. You're like, he's walking past the deli and the phone rings,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And he picks it
Right.
up and he's like, I got nothing for you, whatever he said, and then hung up out of order. So he's
Right.
being chased, right?
Yeah.
We don't know who. That could be Mama, that could be, the grabber.
Mhm.
I don't really know who the first one was. So we're gonna try to come up with a way to talk about these movies. And did you have a favorite scene?
Did I have a favorite scene? I would say the favorite scene in this film probably was the first time that the grabber um, reveals himself in full to the young girl,
Gwen.
Madeleine, who plays Gwen,
Mm-hmm.
and then we see his power for the first time when he is able to pick her up, move her around, and
Right.
uh, the other people at the campsite are able to witness and see that she's not just making this up. It's not all in her head. Something is actually
Happening. Yeah.
happening and taking place. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. It was like he's not just whispering through a phone. He's not just like
Right.
haunting from a distance. He's full on, Freddy Kruegering. He's full on, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
moving them around and spinning them around, and interactive
And,
ghost. Interactive.
yeah. And I'm glad that you said Freddy Kruegering because it does give the vibe of Nightmare on Elm Street. You have to go to sleep.
Give the
Don't
vibe.
go.
It was the vibe. That
It
was
was
right.
yes. It really was a harkening back.
Homage. It was an homage. Do we say? Yeah.
Yeah.
The girl Ashley, my friend sitting next to me, she was like, "Well, what in the Nightmare on Elm Street was that?" I was like, "I know." It really took me back. That was like one of my early horror movies, and I was like,
Me too.
"Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah."
I love all the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
If I had to think about my favorite scene,
Uh-huh.
um, I think it was the first time. Okay, I can never just pick one thing, but I'm going to pick the first time that I went on right now was when they decided to go up to the camp, and they
Hmm.
cut to the car, and he's smoking a doobie in the car, and the music drops, and the
Hmm.
music is another brick in the wall.
Okay.
That little sequence was so fire to me. I was like, all right, all right. And I had heard somebody say that wasn't like the original. There's like versions of it, and that was another version of that song, or another cut of that
Oh.
song, which is very cool. Um,
Uh-huh.
but my favorite scene, that to me is more like a sequence, right? Was when the father comes up to Colorado, right? There are several moments in the movie where they're almost like two heroes, right? There's the Gwen
Right.
and Finn, right? And both have to like accept the journey's call, right? That's like a thing in storytelling. And
Mhm.
they finally get up there, and then I sort of the third character becomes the father, where he comes up, and now they have to decide to like stay
Right.
and fight Wild Bill,
The grabber.
right? The
Yeah.
grabber,
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
Yes.
And I loved that scene because it wasn't just, let's get him. It was like, come leave with me. And she's like, no. And he's like, I don't want to be angry. And mom didn't kill herself. And just them coming together as a family to fight,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
This ghost, this demon of trauma,
Yeah.
who is responsible for everything.
And feeding off of other deaths that was
Yes.
giving him power.
Right.
Mhm.
I loved that scene. I did.
Mhm.
Did you, between all those sort of leads, right? We have the grabber, we have Finn, we have Gwen. I loved Mando. Mando, was that his name?
Mondo.
Mondo. I loved that guy. I loved him.
Yeah, Mondo. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite character?
You know, I can't say that I had a favorite character. If anything, the favorite character might have been the grabber, only because it's in this film you don't necessarily root for the villain, but in some cases you do root for the villain. But I feel like I went to see what the villain was going to do, or what the grabber was going to do in the Black Phone 2.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I would say it was that. Outside of that, there were a few moments where there was some humor in there, where especially when Gwen and
Ernesto?
Ernesto were in the bed
that was the
together,
same kid that played the kid the last time.
Oh, okay. I didn't even put two and two together.
Yeah.
I figured most of the cast was the original cast.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick that up.
Yes.
But when they were in the bed together and they were kind of confessing their love, and then Finn was awake and he caught them at that moment, that was pretty funny.
Miguel Mora is his name. Yeah. Yeah. Am I beautiful? Hysterical.
Right.
Yeah. That's such a, but also their justifications and their motivations for doing things really felt real. Like he was like, I want to protect my sister. Right.
Right.
And that felt really real. All right. So, if I had to pick a favorite character, it has to be Finn. I liked his angry, pissed off.
The anger side.
Yeah.
The anger side.
Yeah. I liked the way they sort of set him up. I liked the weed thing because, he was just trying to shut it down. Anywhere he could, he was and if you notice, he got more psychic sensitive when the guy took his pot.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Because he was more clear at that moment.
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't following his brain.
So, I think so. I mean, I thought that, acting wise, they were all fantastic. Right. There was nothing that character did. Let me put it to you like this. There was nothing that character did that I went, oh man, like nothing. Right. I just really enjoyed every single time he was on screen. He felt authentic. He felt funny. Yeah. I bought his the only thing I remember thinking was, your sister just slept. Okay, so let me go into some of the things that I didn't like. Okay. Or I didn't buy. One of the things that I thought when the first time I thought it was when she sleptwalked to the house, the grabber's house.
Right. Okay.
The little writer in me went, that house wouldn't be there still. They would have knocked it down.
In the exact way that it was.
With a fence.
Yeah.
Right? And I just really thought they would knock that down. It was a private house. It wasn't, but all right. I said, okay, let it go, and it wasn't close. It wasn't like two houses down. No. So your sister is a sleepwalker. And she walks a country mile and climbs down the window. And then he walks in and he's like, that was a really good moment when you heard the steps coming down and it turned out to be him, right?
Right.
But then
because you didn't really know what to expect.
I was like, what's happening? But
Hmm.
then Finn was like, "Wake up!" No one said, "What are you doing here?" Nobody like had like a little beat of a conversation. So I was sort of like the sleepwalking thing had some stuff for me, like you and I said, Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Yes. I
We
feel like they had to drive it home, but they drove it home a little
They
too
drove the
much,
car
and
too hard. Yeah,
yeah, they didn't have to. And outside of that, to your point, the sleepwalking did become a little bit much, to kind of set up how the grabber comes into reality, right?
yeah,
Um, but then the other thing that kind of I felt like they pushed too hard on was the graininess, the picture graininess.
yeah.
I felt
You
like
didn't like that.
it was too grainy for
Okay,
me.
okay. That's interesting. I
It,
I didn't mind the 16 mil look to,
yeah,
I really love the fade into reality. I liked that.
me
I
too.
like.
I did like that, where it would kind of morph back
Now,
and forth.
do you mean you didn't like how long? Because I thought they were too long. You didn't like how
I thought
long?
they were,
Okay.
I like I liked I didn't like how long they were, but and at the same time I didn't like how much grain was in those shots.
Mm-hmm.
It just visually it just seemed it felt too grainy to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like it dragged on too much where they could have shortened it to give more impact,
Mm-hmm.
and it still would have told us, okay, she's in the dream state, and this is why this is happening because she's still dreaming. And over time, you're like, okay, I can now differentiate between
Yeah.
reality and dream state. But early on, I was like, what's with all this pixelation? I
Yeah.
don't understand.
I got it very quickly, but I didn't
Okay,
love it. Okay. So I
right,
thought,
yeah,
oh, this is, they're making a choice here. They're saying, okay, 16 mil, whatever,
yeah.
grainy film stock. And it's not like I thought they actually shot 16 mil. I would have to look that, I don't think
I
they,
don't know.
um,
Yeah,
but, yeah, I actually just thought it was too long, and maybe that was a byproduct of the film stock look. Maybe
mhm,
that's why I just thought, okay, you know, let's go, let's move past
yeah,
this. But when I think
right.
about each beat of, I go, well, what would you cut? Maybe just everything just needed to be shortened just
Just a little
just a
bit.
little tiny bit,
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
But okay, but what I loved was I liked how she was so activated, right? Like I liked Ernesto. I liked that she spoke her mind. I liked that she was, unafraid to speak and say what she thought, that she didn't sort of get gaslit easily. Like I thought she was a very like modern girl for the
Right,
even for the time period. Like she was uber modern for 1982, right? Or
right.
85.
And even though this was more so, it started with Finn, but this is really a Gwen story.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they gave Gwen more of the lead character role,
For
in my
sure.
opinion. Mhm.
Yeah. Did you wish there was more Finn?
No, I was wondering how they were going to the
Yeah.
continuation of Black Phone. I was wondering how they were going to do that, and the fact that they brought on a whole new story, uh, completely different vibe, different location. It builds a world to where, okay, I can see how this can continue on. If this one is successful, then there could be a Black Phone 3 and 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever
Can
the
there
case
be
may be.
though? That's an interesting question.
There can definitely be a
Okay.
Black
All
Phone
right.
3.
Hold that thought. Don't lose it though. Okay. I also felt like back to something I didn't love. I also felt like we didn't need a snowstorm. We didn't need to be in The Shining. Right. Now
No.
I know why, isolation, blah, blah, blah. But
Right. Yeah.
okay. And here's the biggest part.
And again, it's a cabin in the
I
woods.
know it's all very like tropey, tropey, tropey. But like here's the thing. I was like, if let's play the game that let's say it wasn't snowing and let's say the other camp counselors did come up. Let's say three other people came up.
Right.
Think about this.
Mhm.
Nobody died in this movie.
Exactly.
I was like, we got a horror movie, ain't nobody die.
Yes.
If they
Right.
had given us it's just fall or whenever it was spring, whenever
Mhm.
it was, I don't even know what time of the year it was, but it was enough that it was snowing. So maybe it was like April or March in Colorado.
Right.
Maybe it snows up there. And let's just say it was just cold and maybe only 3. I mean, how many people are really trying to be camp counselors,
Yeah.
right?
Now I was really expecting one of the two other counselors, the
Of
couple,
course.
that somebody was going to end up dying,
Of
or
course.
even Mondo,
Of
especially
course.
that one scene where Mondo is communicating through the CB radio or the analog radio, and he's able to communicate back and forth. I thought something was going to happen there, and
I
it didn't.
don't understand the thinking behind nobody died except for the people that were already dead. I was like, huh, interesting choice. So if you had the taken away the snow where the other camp people couldn't get up there, right?
Yeah,
You could
I
now kill
actually,
those people.
yeah, but see, I now I now have a thought
Yeah.
and an idea as to why they didn't kill any of the other
Why?
people. The grabber only went after children. Well,
I mean,
uh, yeah,
wait a minute.
yeah, yeah. You caught me there. You
No, no,
caught me
no.
there.
But I
Okay.
like, we're just thinking.
Over
I get it.
overall, the grabber only went after children.
Right.
There was only one instance where the grabber had to cover their tracks.
Right, but here's the thing. The grabber is now grabber 2.0. He
Right.
doesn't care. He's just like, I want to protect my power source, these kids in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And if there had been 3 other camp people up there, right? Now we're really Friday the 13th, right?
Yeah.
And you have more camp people up there. You can have one person that's fully funny is like, I'm going the hell home. I would have loved that.
Right.
That would have just been funny. If somebody just actually said, you know what, I'm breaking out, and just like left, and then maybe came back and tried to save the day, right? And then one other person who got took out. Now we're afraid. Now there's somebody who's actually dying, and who knows what but just like, I didn't understand why they needed that full, that full isolation, like the shining isolation. I was like, my goodness gracious.
They had to trap him there.
Yeah, no, but they didn't. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't. They could have had. I mean, like, look at, like, again, one of my favorites is like Midsommar. Look how many people are in that movie. Like, you can have a lot of people in the broad daylight, and it can be quite frightening. I'll tell you another thought that I had. You mentioned the couple.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look up their names, and so we don't.
The dialogue between
Maeve Beatty was Barb.
Maeve.
Barb. They just didn't want to call her Karen. And Graham Abbey is Ken. I've seen him somewhere before. I'd have to look up where.
Yeah, they both seem pretty familiar.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen them in other
They
projects.
were funny, and they should have died if they were going to just be that level of quip, sort of cliche stuff. But here's what I thought should have happened. Okay, stay with me. Okay?
I'm listening. I'm ready.
One of the other things that I bumped up hard against, like I said, was that she would just fall asleep. Girlfriend was falling asleep on a sled.
Right.
She was like, it'd be like, you and me having a conversation. I'm just like, but I just knock out.
Right.
I was like,
I think at that point she realized her power, but nobody falls asleep like
you
that.
don't. He was talking to her, and she was like, I was like, what is happening? Like, I mean, at least like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, girlfriend was trying to take amphetamines to stay awake, right? Like, that's what was so great. The horror was in the fact that after 3 days, it's almost impossible to keep your eyes
to stay
awake.
Right.
She was like, I'm gonna just fall asleep. Like, I thought it was. I was irked by that. Like, at one point in the movie theater, I just was like,
come on now.
She just fell asleep on a sled.
Yeah.
In the freezing cold.
The other thing that I did not like is every time there was, in particular, when Gwen comes face to face with the grabber in the kitchen or in that cafeteria area, everybody was just a bystander. Nobody really decided to jump in and help her.
Try to grab
she's
her.
flinging through the air until Finn came busting through the door.
Yeah.
Even then he hesitated, which that's obvious when you see somebody. You don't see the grabber, you just see that person flying around. But after that initial shock, wouldn't you want to try to pull her down, help her out, do
Yeah. I
whatever?
mean, someone's about to be thrown into the oven. I think maybe you
True.
might want to hold their foot.
Steer clear. Yeah.
I don't know. To your point, I mean, like grab them or jump on them or.
It just felt like in every instance they kind of were bystanders,
Mhm.
and the camera would solely focus on whoever is going after the grabber. But then you're wondering in the back of your mind, like, okay, well, what is Ernesto doing? What is the couple
I
doing?
didn't even
What are they
remember if
doing?
Ernesto was there.
He was sitting next to Gwen when she just
Okay.
he was sitting right next to her.
All right. So here.
And they told him to just stay put on that.
Yeah.
On that.
No, literally, he said, "Make sure she doesn't go to sleep." I think.
Right. Yes.
And then he walked away. And she was like, I was like, what? Enough to dream? We're talking past like the first or two stages of sleep into REM.
Yeah, they could have done that better.
Well, here's what they could have done. I thought about it because I kept thinking about it. I was like, what would I have done? And I thought, okay, you got Barb and you got Ken. When we first met them, I thought, because the concept of like someone like Bill is that they came from somewhere. He's not like an actual demon, right? So I thought, was this where he was hurt? Is this where he was abused? And could Barb and Ken abuse him?
Yeah, it had something to do with it.
Okay. Right. Then that's why they didn't want to give up the information. That's what I got suspicious, right? I was like, they didn't want to give up the information because they are the reason. They were the abusers that caused the abuse, right?
Yeah.
So that they were drugging her. And that's why she kept falling asleep. That would have been interesting.
Every time they were in the cafeteria and when they were eating and all that, you never saw who prepared the food or anything like that. They could have made it to where
it could have been some Get Out like tea thing. You know what I mean? Like, here's the tea. Like I was just like, why are these characters here just for like some funny shame jokes about her being in the boys' cabin or calling her a demon?
Even when they were shown the old picture of them, the whole,
they were there.
They were all there. I was thinking, okay, well, maybe what if this is something where somebody's trying to be a copycat, or maybe they're also killers too, and they were lured to this campsite, for a reason. But that never transpired.
No. Yeah. So I mean, just because I really, really bumped up against the sleeping thing, and I was trying for the last, like the next day, I was like, what could have that been? That it could have been like a drug. You know what I mean? All right. So was there any? So that was like, we talk about like, is there anything that you thought was underdeveloped? That's what I thought was underdeveloped. That character and that sort of like plot point in there that could have been. Do you think it should have been longer or shorter? Was anything you would have cut? I mean, we both kind of feel like the dream sequences could have been shorter.
I mean, for the time frame that it was, I felt like it was fine. It now could have been a little shorter. Sure, instead of it being close to 2 hours, it might have. If it was an hour and 45 minutes,
it was an hour and 54 minutes.
Okay, so maybe there you go.
That puppy could have been
shave like 10 minutes,
20 minutes off that. It should have been 90 minutes, 90.
Yeah.
Right, and it could have just moved at there was a lot of setup before we actually got up to the.
That's what, and that's why I was like, okay, that's where it felt like a drag for me, especially when it was showing the grainy scenes in the dream state. Obviously, they were setting it up for people to understand that she's sleepwalking, and these things are happening while she's sleeping, or while she's sleepwalking, or in the dream state. But it lingered too long.
Yeah,
and for avid moviegoers or moviegoers who come from the classic horror film days where we watched Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and and those kinds of movies, we automatically understood that. So it didn't really it didn't take a lot to set that up. But I get it for the new generation.
I
Um,
think the new generation kind of gets it.
yeah, I feel like they
Yeah,
would have, but
yeah,
if they don't, they've never watched the older movies, then you have to kind of play into that
yeah.
a little bit.
I would definitely have cut that down a little bit. I did think the graphics and the special effects was extraordinary. I thought like the makeup, the kids
Makeup was
being,
good.
all that was gorgeous. I mean, as gorgeous as
Oh,
that stuff can be. Um,
when the window came down, I don't want to give it away, but when the window came down, I was like, okay,
Yeah, no, I thought the special effects and the gore makeup, and
yeah,
his mask when it would come off and there would be like,
yes,
all the skin and it was just great
the
makeup. I
tears
was just
and
like,
yeah,
wow, that looks really great.
mhm.
And I always ask myself like, could I have watched that in the house? Was that a theater movie? And I think in this circumstance, I say no. I don't think it needed to be a theater movie. I I saw Black Phone here in my apartment.
Me too. I did
And
too.
I was petrified. You know what I mean? So, I don't know if it necessarily had to be on the big screen, but it was definitely like watchable. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
wasn't like capital W, but it was
right.
definitely watchable. Like I
Yeah.
had fun. I did. What did you think of the skating?
Oh, it didn't need to. A
What
lot of that did not need to happen at all.
what was going on there?
I don't know.
Why was he? I said, what? I was
Yeah,
really perplexed by that.
where did the skates come from? Because they didn't even seem like they were really skates. They felt like his feet were
Well,
just
they were set
frozen.
up. They look like hockey skates. You know
Yeah,
what I
they
mean?
did.
And
Yeah,
they never, unless there was some point that we missed where that
no,
this cat was a skater or a hockey
they never talked.
player.
They never showcased that.
I was
I don't
so
know where that came from.
confused by that. You know what I mean?
I guess maybe just because they were on ice. I really don't know.
Yeah,
And
but
how is
like
he going to be able to get around to all
that
those people?
fast. Well,
Right.
just make it tighter, make it smaller.
Yeah.
Um,
And if he's already dead and it's his spirit that's
he could
or it's
zip.
his
He could zip, right?
right.
He's
Exactly.
already invisible. He's
Exactly.
already.
Our minds are already
We
there. So
will believe you. You don't need to
right.
give him a mode of transportation. But I think also like they needed everybody so far apart because they would have woke her up.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, they tried to wake her up in the bed. And that one scene where she's in the phone booth and she couldn't wake up and then he twists her head around or twists her body around.
Yeah,
I thought she was done for at that point.
yeah. And then they pulled the Inception with the water,
Yeah.
and then it was what was it? Then it was the Matrix. If you die in the Matrix, if you die in the dream, I was like,
There was a lot of things
they
to where
gleaned a
okay,
lot. They gleaned a
yeah,
lot, right?
if you got to this point, okay, you didn't take it further. You only showed us this much when it could have been this much.
Yeah,
So it's almost like they showcased a little bit of what it could be,
yeah.
but didn't want it to end at that moment. So they only gave you a glimpse of it and then moved on.
What did your daughter think?
So half the movie she was like this.
Aw,
She doesn't really do too many scary
yeah, but
movies.
she wanted to see it.
She loved Black Phone. She was excited for Black Phone 2 to come out. She's also a fan of Stranger Things
Yeah,
and other kind of young adult horror themed films and series. And so when we saw that it was coming out in theaters, I was like, okay, let's make it a daddy daughter day. Let's
love
go.
it.
So she was like, as long as it's during the day.
Oh,
So I was like, yeah, let's, I say you're with me. So it doesn't matter if it's a day or night,
yeah, you're safe.
you're safe.
That's got to
Yeah.
be the best. That's a
But
great memory.
it was good. And she enjoyed it. To her, the scary moments were, like I said, when the window came down
Mm-hmm.
and then the other jump scare where the boy was under the bed.
Yes.
Um, and I want to say there was one more, but outside of that, she enjoyed it a lot. And of course, we kind of talked back and forth as to like, yeah, right, wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
or those
Yeah.
kinds of things. But yeah, it was
Oh,
enjoyable.
that's wonderful. I did get scared. I had a couple of moments where I was doing the
Did you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did. The boy under the
I,
bed, I got scared. I was like,
you
oh.
know, is it? Even though I don't do a whole lot of horror films, nothing in this really scared me.
Hmm.
The jump scares, you can, in most films today, you can kind of feel when it's coming
Yeah, yeah,
because there's music and then it gets dead silent right before the jump
yeah,
scare. So you can kind of catch it, but yeah, this didn't scare me. It was enjoyable enough to where I wasn't frightened, but I understood what was all happening and taking
yeah.
place.
I got tense. I got tense when that scene when she was in the basement. Why she was in the basement, we already discussed.
Yeah,
But when the steps,
yeah,
that got me tense. I was tense. I was like, oh my god, what's happening?
right, right, yeah.
And so I definitely watchability, yes,
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 and I would also venture off to say that I see why this is. I would say that this is movie theater worthy,
hmm,
but some of the execution they could have done different.
yeah. Like I'm glad
So
I went. You know what I
me
mean?
too,
Yeah, I'm glad I
me
went. I'm
too.
glad I saw it in the theaters. I enjoyed, myself. Like I enjoyed myself in the movie theater. Was it as good as the Black Phone? No.
No, no,
Definitely
it's
not.
never going to be as good as the original.
Yeah.
However, I thought it was clever how they was able to uh, create a new storyline
Yeah.
and give it more life.
Yeah. And you can see they're going after the franchise, but I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I do.
You do? You want to share or you want to hold it in?
Well, this is my obviously this is my opinion, my assumption.
Yeah.
Uh, as they're dragging him down, I won't give it fully away, but as they're dragging him
Oh,
down,
I know what you're gonna say.
him reach
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
piece of his mask, and he quickly throws that on, and
Yeah.
I feel like that gives him part of the power.
Power. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Now,
remember that.
now
Yeah.
another thing that I will say is, okay, how long is this lake frozen? Because the way they set it up, this lake has been frozen. It's like they
Forever.
were in Antarctica. And
Well,
so,
first of all, one of the barrels was weighed down, right?
right.
So
Yes.
that's the so I'm assuming that two of them were weighed down. And
Right.
once it's at the bottom, it's at the bottom. I don't think it's floating back up.
No, but when they, so I am going to cut
Well,
spoiler alert.
we spoil.
Yeah, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, I'm about to give away
A
a big
major
piece
plot.
of it.
Yeah,
But
a major plot point.
when they drag him down into the water,
Yes.
the
When the
frozen
children
water,
drag him down. Hmm.
the children drag him down. He doesn't go to the bottom. He goes to the center, like the mid mass of the water,
Yeah.
and then the water freezes back over around him. So
Where was I?
in my
I
mind,
missed that.
so it kind of shows his face a
Oh,
little bit,
right,
and
right,
then you
right. I
see,
didn't get that. Okay, okay,
yeah, you could kind of see like the ice start to crystallize around his face and
okay.
whatnot. And to me, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, he's not gone. He's frozen, so
Yeah.
he's stuck for a period of time. And being that he's frozen, now we can jump time periods. When this water happens to
Okay.
thaw,
Okay.
it could be 1996 the next time.
Yeah. Not
Who
only that,
knows?
or it could be that period in between, right? Because we have the
Right.
first kids. Well, I mean, so look, if it does well, and I think from what I heard, um, it broke 26, I think, over the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's doing really well. It got amazing ratings. The audience score was high. A lot of people enjoyed it. Critics enjoyed it.
27.3 million.
Yeah, I don't know what it costs to make. Obviously, they had a bigger budget,
Um,
so we got to see if it breaks even or if it lands in profit at some point.
estimated 30 million.
Oh yeah, so it's going to turn a profit.
Opening weekend 26. Well, I mean, it's got to do another 60, right? Before it, like, isn't that the
Yeah.
number?
Mhm.
Strong.
I think it'll get there. I think it'll get there, and I think that there's enough of of a demand and a fan base to where they could at least pull off a 3.
Domestic weekend got 26.5 million in 3,500 theaters, a little bit more. With worldwide, it's up 42 million.
Yeah.
Black Phone debuted with 23 million, 21, but ended up making 161. So it can do it. The 6th highest opening of 2025 domestically. The Conjuring 84, Final Destination Bloodlines 51, Sinners 48, Weapons 43, 28 years later 30, and then Black Phone. Wow. So it'll get there.
Yeah, it'll get there for sure, and I'm sure it's going to stay in theaters through Halloween.
Oh, for sure. And if it's good, and if people like it, people will spread the word and go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so to me, I think it's worth going. I think it's watchable. It's almost fun sometimes, even with these little even with these little bitchy, picking nits kind of thing.
Right.
It's even fun to do that, because then the conversation after the movie becomes that. You know what I mean? Right. And I love doing that with friends after a movie. With you, I love doing it. It's like, well, why did they do this?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's good. It makes good for good commentary. Be able to pick it apart.
Yeah.
Try to understand where the director was going, where the writer was going, and see, where they leave it open to where, possibilities further down the road.
And that mask is terrifying. We're gonna see that. Well, we're gonna see that.
I was gonna say that's another piece of the IP, in my opinion.
Yeah.
With Freddy Krueger, and you have Jason, and you have the Scream mask, and you have all of these characters. I feel like the Black Phone, the Grabber's mask is
it's very good IP. I think it is. Yeah. I think it's it's on par with the Scream. I mean, I think Terrifier is very recognizable, but I don't know if people are going to want to. But the Grabber is kind of it's a little cool. It's a little cool. I don't know why. What's up here that I think that, but I think that. I think I'm looking at it now. It's a little cool, and I think also the soundtrack is for sale, which. Like I said, that one needle drop was wicked. So, I don't know. It's, oh my gosh. And the CDs are like little telephones. I'm going to see if I'm going to get you a still so you can pop it up here in the thing. They look like rotary phones with blood on them.
Oh, that's pretty dope. Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
And if you go to certain theaters, if they're selling them, the popcorn tin is a Black Phone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't go to the theater to the concession. I brought in my own pretzels.
Oh, okay. You snuck them in.
I didn't even sneak them out. I was just thinking about it. I don't know. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll see you over the weekend. Bye, Kevin.
See you later.